Have you ever been in a situation where you do not feel 100% comfortable, where you maybe feel like, okay, I'm a little bit low in the social hierarchy? If yes, you might have done one of the following things. You maybe put on a facade, maybe you have like put on a mask. Maybe you've tried to be a little bit more like those other people, like those people that seem to be higher in the social hierarchy, that seem to feel comfortable in this environment. Have you tried this before? Then you try to control other people's reaction towards you by adopting towards their worldview. And things like this always lower self-esteem and are usually done because we seek attention and approval, but more on that in a second. My name is Dennis and I'm building my business in sales right now because I want to live free and travel the world. Right now we are in Medellin, Colombia, and here on YouTube the goal is to document everything, the ups, the downs and everything in between. So if this is interesting, you can consider subscribing, but now let's continue with the video. Alright, so I remember when I was like younger, like a teenager, right, 15, 16, there were some parties that you were also invited, that you participated in, and I always felt in those parties, literally at the very bottom of the social hierarchy. Literally nobody was talking to me, but also, I have to take responsibility, I wasn't also saying nothing, I wasn't speaking a word. I was really literally judging everything that I could have said, like, okay, this is not good enough. Okay, so I can't say it. I wouldn't be cool. I really tried to participate in those conversations that they had and those topics that they had, but I was wondering, okay, why are their topics so boring? Why are they speaking about such a boring topic? Because back then I was already thinking about, okay, how can I improve my life? Shit, I hate my life. And they talked about, I think it was League of Legends, some video game. They talked about football. This is so boring to me. I was just sitting there listening, but I just had nothing to say to that topics. But of course I tried a bit, okay, to participate. Never really had something to say about this. I laughed about their jokes, even though it wasn't funny to me. Just because I had the need to belong, just I wanted to be part of the group, wanted attention also to some degree, but never really felt like I belonged there. So literally I was trying to fit in a place where it was impossible for me to fit in. Because everybody I was spending time with back then was literally the opposite of me. For the longest time I thought, okay, I'm the problem, I'm weird. But for you, if you, for example, know this situation that you're in a social circle, those are the only people that want to spend time with you, but you still have the feeling, okay, you do not fit in. We often think, okay, you are the problem, you are the weird person. And my mentor told me once that often we think, okay, we are not good enough, but we do not realize that we are way too much for all the other people. And that's what I want to tell you also. You might be a person that is just way too much for those people. And when I say this, I don't mean that those people are below you or something, it's just different, right? It just means that most people are not like you, but just because the majority of people do something doesn't mean at the same time this is the correct way, that this is the only way. Today I want to talk about adaptation or adaptation, and there are like two main areas. They're first in social situation, and then also in general, like in general adaptation, maybe in business or in general towards people, which is little bit more complicated, and we will make 2 videos out of this. Let's first talk about adaptation in social situations. So in social situations, we often put on a certain personality, which isn't like truly who we are, because we believe, okay, we will get better feedback from the world, we will get better results in the real world. The problem is when we do this, that we are wavy, right? We don't have a solid personality because we don't have years of experience living this personality. But because it's not our real personality, it's just something that we put on and we try to act through it. And if we do this, we are not really congruent anymore to who we truly are. And also life feels it's a lot of effort, right? Because we have to keep up this personality. Because every time we can make a mistake and not act congruent anymore. This is also the key word here, right? We are not congruent anymore to what we truly are. We do things not because we want to do things anymore, but we do things because we think, okay, we will get positive feedback from the world. People will like us, people will treat us better. But it's not anymore who we truly are. Or also, like this is a classic one, we make a joke even though we do not really think it's funny, but we only do this because we think, okay, it will trigger a laughter in the other person. So we're not even expressing our own really humor anymore, and the other person cannot really get to know us, really who we really are. And now you could ask yourself, okay, why not do those things that trigger a good reaction in other people, right? Because if I then have better reaction in the world, this is something positive. If you come from such a standpoint, if you would argue like this would be true, right? But the problem is that usually those people who are incongruent are the ones who have worse reactions, like in the world, right? Worse social reactions. And those people who are truly congruent have not only better reactions, people react better to them, but also people like them more, and people can really find people that are really connectable to them, right? Because they truly see who this person really is, right? They see, okay, this person is real, this person has character, he is a certain way, he's not like a leaf in the wind who is always adopting to other people. No, he has a certain character, he has his beliefs, and I can, for that reason, also trust this person. Right? High value people are usually congruent, and low value people are usually incongruent and try to adopt to everybody else, right? Like me, low in the social hierarchy, this is how I felt, so I was trying to adopt to those people up in the hierarchy. And the people up in the hierarchy, they are not adopting to the people who are down there in the social hierarchy. I'm in sales, right? My business is sales. I always experience exactly this, right? When sometimes you speak to business people, like B2B, right? People who they're very successful, they probably have people below them, right? And they're bossing them around sometimes, but they have reached something in their life. They have high self-esteem because they made something, sometimes out of nothing. And those are the people who are not adopting. Those are the people who are congruent to who they truly are. They are speaking up, they're setting boundaries, they're confident. And it's always the people that are lower in the social hierarchy that most of the time people that like B2C people, like business to customer, people who are not that successful, that are, what I realize, are adopting. They're adopting to me, they are trying to impress me how successful they are, even though they are not that successful. And the successful person who's up there in the social hierarchy is never trying to impress. So trying to fit in is always force and manipulates to social interactions, while being congruent to who you truly are is power and invites to social interaction. So this is the difference, right? And now ask yourself the question, do you prefer being manipulated to a social interaction, or do you prefer being invited into a social interaction where you have the choice, right? Instead of being forced into it, being manipulated into something. People prefer the contact with the congruent person, right? The person who's also often up in the hierarchy. They are congruent to who they truly are, and they don't force anybody, they don't manipulate anybody to interact with them. Of course, there are exceptions. And people below the hierarchy, they try to do some tricks and like they put on a mask to manipulate towards social interactions. And maybe there's also the question, okay, why are so many people incongruent? Why are they trying to manipulate? Why are so many people not themselves? And this is, in my opinion, because they're afraid of being rejected. They are afraid of not having acceptance, approval, etc. because they never had that in their childhood. This is often the case, right? We seek what we never had in the childhood, and now we are wanting this and we're trying to manipulate people to receiving this, but more on this in the second part of this video. And also those people are incongruent because they are afraid of not being perfect, because they think, okay, only if I'm perfect I will be accepted, I will get approval. And my answer to this is, of course I'm not perfect at this, but in general, living in acceptance and accepting not being perfect. And also showing and sharing vulnerability and proactively sharing sometimes your weaknesses. By the way, what you also see on my channel, I try to proactively share sometimes when I'm vulnerable, when I'm weak, when I'm not feeling as perfect, when I'm not the perfect YouTuber, self-improvement, millionaire, salesperson, whatever. I try to share this here proactively sometimes. Everybody who does this, who shows vulnerability, they get massive respect from other people, because everybody wants to be perfect and is afraid of not being perfect, and they respect that if you are vulnerable and you have the balls to be congruent even though it's not perfect. But also it takes the pressure off. But it takes the pressure off of you, because then now I'm saying, okay, I don't have to put up those, like the self-image of being the perfect guy, because I already said that, hey, I'm not the perfect guy. Alright, this was part 1 of 2 parts. Today we talked about the adaptation or adjustment in social interaction, and the next video tomorrow will be about adaptation and adjustment in general, which will be even, in my opinion at least, a little bit more deeper into this topic. So if you enjoyed this, you can subscribe if you want, because the goal of this channel is to build like a community of like-minded people who all want more out of life, who all want to improve, who all want to become better, and also who live the motto here of like 10 years of hard work for 50 years of freedom, right? Because this is my motto, right? If we put in the years, like the 10 years, to set ourselves up financially, or with our confidence, with our social skills, whatever it might be, then we're set up for the rest of our life, for the next 50 years or the 60 years, however long we will live. This is the motto here. If this is interesting, again, subscribe if you want, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.